Okay, so the Detroit Lions, I think we all are starting to realize like the running back room, apparently it doesn't matter who's here. It's just going to be injury prone. And so the Detroit Lions might need to bring somebody else in. We did get some good news today as of recording this. Craig Reynolds did practice. Now it was just kind of a walkthrough type situation. They're not going as hard at practice this week because of all the injuries. So we're going to see what that looks like. But the Detroit Lions still may need help. Jahmyr Gibbs may not be available. And so who else do we have? Dan Campbell in a press conference even said, hey, we might need to look to the wide receiver room for running back help. Look, that does not bode well against a Baltimore Ravens defense that is very solid. If you become one-dimensional against a good defense like Baltimore has, you are going to struggle against them. One-dimensional, we got away with it against Tampa Bay because we became one-dimensional during the game. They didn't have time to prepare for it. So in this video, we're going to talk about potential people that the Detroit Lions could bring in, potential running backs. And there was a great article on Lions Wire off USA Today. And we're going to start with the usual suspects that we've seen before, guys who've worn Lions jerseys. And then we are going to get into some free agents, which a couple of them I find to be really interesting, almost kind of fascinating. So anyways, Jamar Jefferson is the first one. And Jamar Jefferson, as you know, he's had 15 carries as a Detroit Lion. He's always hurt. And as you can see in this article, he was waived with an injury settlement in September. He's now eligible to re-sign with the team. If he's healthy, this might be an opportunity to do this. He knows the playbook. He could play. If he's healthy, he could play this weekend. This is why that could be a good possible idea. But I'm not going to spend too much time on him. We know about him. I think everybody kind of likes what he had. Not anything great by any stretch of the imagination, but like at least he's shown a little flashes. Next one's Benny Snell. Benny Snell comes out of Kentucky. He ran with the team in the preseason this year. We've seen him in the past. There you see him against New York during the preseason game. He was only with the team for 19 days, but appeared in all 3 preseason games, 64 yards on 14 rushes. He's a strong runner who could, here's what they say, could theoretically play the same role as Montgomery at a much lesser impact, right? That's the way I kind of look at it. It would be a much lesser impact, but he's another guy. I know he was only with the team for 19 days and he's missed a lot in between now and then, but could they bring him onto the team? Could they bring him onto the team and could he end up playing against the Ravens? I think it would be somewhat possible. All right, next is the unfamiliar faces. And the first one is a very interesting name. I think this is a very interesting name, and it is James Robinson. Okay, it is James Robinson. You may have remembered him. He was an undrafted rookie. He was an undrafted rookie out of, well, actually, now that I say that, I should probably actually know where he was out of, Illinois State, but he played for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And he was an undrafted rookie, and in his first year, he ran for 1,000 yards, averaged 4.5 yards per carry, and seemed to be good. All right. Then when you look at the next year, there was some injury stuff. He got 767 yards. There's like this, how did he come back? There was an ACL, and he really has never been the same since. He was never an explosive runner. He was never an explosive runner. He was with the Giants in the preseason this year, but they didn't keep him. So it was one of those things. He's never been bad, but I think this is another guy who theoretically could play the same kind of role that Montgomery did. Here's the way I look at James Robinson. I'm just going to spend a second here, and I got 2 more running backs for you, but I want to spend a second here. James Robinson, to me, is not that much worse. Don't turn it off when I say this. He's not that much worse than Jamal Williams. I don't think Jamal Williams is a great running back. And James Robinson is one of those guys where it's like, all right, does he have much tread left on the tires? I don't know. But what we do know about him is that he has decent vision. If there's something there, he'll take it. He's going to fall forward. He's one of those guys. So if Jamal Williams could be a successful running back in this team, on this team, maybe he could too. But here's the thing that I don't know about James Robinson. I don't know what his health is. I know he started 32 games. I know he's a 1,000-yard rusher, only 2 years removed. But I don't know how healthy he is. And that's actually what it says right here now that I'm reading this. All right. The fact that he's still available at this point in the season could be a concern. He worked out with the Colts and the Ravens in the past month, but walked away without a deal. If he's healthy and capable, Detroit could use his skills, but it kind of seems like he might not be. All right, the next one is a change of pace from that. Kind of. And it's Dontrell Hilliard. Now, Dontrell Hilliard is very, very unique to me. I find this to be kind of fascinating. This is a guy who played at Tulane. He was drafted in 2018. He's 28 years old. So we look at that and you're like, okay, so he has played for the Browns and he has played for the Titans. He's played for the Browns and he's played for the Titans. So I don't know enough about him, but here's what I do know. He played in a limited role, but in that limited role, he was extremely effective. All right, he was extremely effective. Let me give you a couple of things here. In 2021, his two most recent years, he carried the ball 56 times with Tennessee for an average of 6.3 yards per attempt. In 2022, he only carried it 22 times for 145 yards for an average of 6.6. When overall, he has carried the ball 100 times in his career, and he has averaged 5.9 yards per carry. That's really good. Like, I know that's an extremely small sample size, but it's big enough to say to yourself, like, oh, maybe the kid's got something here. Like, maybe he's got something. But he also, last year, I know it's only 145. He had 11 targets, 10 catches for 110 yards. So he's more of that dual threat type of running back. This right now is my pick for who we'd bring in. Now, I don't think he'd be ready to go against the Ravens, but he could be a good third back for this team. I think what we have is we have Craig Reynolds thinking he can go in for David Montgomery, but Dontrell Hilliard could be one of those guys that could more replace the Jahmyr Gibbs type role. Not the same amount of speed or anything like that. All right, so who's the final name? It's a name you all know. All right, it's Leonard Fournette. And I don't know what is left on this. I know that there were talks of him joining different teams in the recent days, and that just didn't happen. I don't know why it didn't happen. Leonard Fournette always feels like a kind of guy who there's like all this, I don't know what's the word I want to use. There's all this talk about him, but it always seems like he doesn't actually want to play football or he's out of shape, but then all of a sudden he does and he plays well. And he played really well, even in Tampa, and nobody else has been successful in Tampa. Rachaad White is playing awful right now, and I know they have a new running back scheme. And trust me, when you watch that game, even against the Lions, it's not that Rachaad White's terrible. There's just no holes. But Fournette found a way. So he's this unique guy that could do a little bit of everything. He's 28 years old, but I think he could come in, adapt to the offense quickly. If Montgomery is out for an extended period of time, if you think he's going to be out 3 weeks, 4 weeks, which they probably don't because he's not on IR, Leonard Fournette might be a good option because he is a guy who could come in and do what Montgomery was doing similarly. Not as well. He is better than Jamal Williams, though. So that's kind of where we're at. Who could they bring in? Let me know. Who do you want them to bring in if they bring in someone? I mean, right now it's Ozigbo and maybe Reynolds for this upcoming week. So the backfield is not looking great. The offensive line is going to have to dominate. So anyways, hope you enjoyed the video, and we will see you on the next one.